Today we're going to focus on grade 9 to 12 gradebook, entering final grades and comments, and populating the PLP comment, or populate the PLP box in Power Teacher so that it will populate onto the report card. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually start with Power Teacher. So you'll see on your screen currently the Power Teacher training environment and the teacher that I'm logged in as. You'll notice when you log into your Power Teacher, beside each one of your classes, you will see if there are students in your classes with PLP alerts, you'll see this alert down the side, the blue alert box. So you can click on any of these to see the students in your class who have PLPs associated with them. So the key is to just click on the box, and you'll see, of course, the student names and some information that the resource teacher may have put in over here regarding the student. But in order for the PLP code to show up on the report card, the teacher must click on the student's name and select whether the student was individualized or modified, and then click Submit. So, and you'll notice now it's maybe a little bit light for you to see, but I can see that that actually shows PLP and modification. So again, you would do that for each student that you need to within your class. You can go back out to Power Teacher and select the next class and so on. So this is very important. In the past, those comments were actually part of the comments section of the high school report card, but that's no longer the case. It's a requirement now that the PLP individualized and PLP modified are now selected from the PLP alert in your classes, and it's done at the level of the class, not at the level of the students. So you would go into each class and select the students that you have, click on their name, and select whether they're individualized or modified, and click Submit. So that's part one in getting ready for report cards in this quarter. First thing to do would be to make sure that those students who require it show their individualizations or their modifications so that will populate to the report card in the office. The next thing that we want to do, of course, is make sure that our final grades are entered. So I'm just going to open Gradebook, and you'll see that I have the gradebook open for this testing teacher that I have with the data that you see in front of you, and you'll see that the classes that the teacher is scheduled to teach. Now, there is some indication from teachers that not everyone is working in the same quarter, or in the same reporting term. So if you see where my mouse is right now, this is the reporting term. Now, it's very important that we know what the reporting terms are. So, for example, you can see that this is an English Language Arts 11-2 class. You can see it's a full year class because it says 14-15. And you can see that the reporting terms are F1, S1, Q1, Q2, S2, Q3, and 4. So you see that those are the reporting terms that fall within that particular class. Okay, if I move to my Science 9, you'll see that the F1 disappears because there's no ability for that to be a full year course. The only option in an S1 course is to have S1, Q1, and Q2. The same as if I move to this course, the only options are semester 2, Q3, and Q4. So it's very important when you're looking through your courses to see what reporting terms are available for each of your classes. So currently, we are operating in quarter number 1. So if you want to know what the dates are for any particular quarter, all you have to do is click on the down arrow under reporting term, look at the Q1, and if you put your mouse over Q1, it will tell you that the reporting term for this school was from August the 1st to November the 2nd. So that's the Q1 reporting period. That's going to be important when you're setting up things like assignments and those kind of things. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But what I'm going to do right now is work on F1. So if you're a teacher who has not changed the reporting term, and for example, if I go to my Science 9, you'll see that I've set up all of my assignments in Science 9 under the term S1, which is the whole semester. Now, there's been a little bit of confusion of whether I need to set up my assignments in S1 or do I need to set up my assignments in Q1. If you've set up all of your assignments in S1, that's okay, because when the office runs the report card, they are going to run the report card based on these dates you see here, based on the Q1 dates. So they will draw the report data for that particular quarter. However, one thing that's very important, if you are setting up your final grades that you see here, then in order to put in comments for the student, you must be in Q1. So the grade's okay. You can leave the grade here just the way it is, but you must move over to Q1 in order to put in the comments, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Okay, so let's work down some different scenarios. If you're a teacher that has never put anything into Gradebook at all, and you're looking at just entering a final grade for the quarter and some comments, then what you need to do, and that would look like something like this, so you would see no assignments here whatsoever, and everything would be empty. So if that's your case in your scenario, then you need to make sure that in the reporting term, you need to be in Q1, and then you'll see, of course, this column will be empty, and we're going to fill this column in just a moment with some grades. The other thing that you need to make sure you do is go up to Tools and Preferences, and under the grading column, make sure that if the letter grade column is turned off, which would be not checked, make sure you check that so it's turned on. That will become important in just a few moments. So make sure that that is turned on. So again, Tools, Preferences, Grading, make sure that the letter grade column is turned on, and click OK. So again, all I'm doing for this class, because I've not entered any assignments in at all, is just entering a final grade that will go on the report card. So I made sure that I am in Q1, very important, and I'm going to enter final grades. So I start by clicking at the top, and I right-click, and I click on Show Score Inspector. Now the Show Score Inspector shows up right here, and you'll see that there's my student's name right up here in the box, and that matches right here. And I'm going to click on Manual Override. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the student an 80, and then I'm going to select a couple of comments. And again, the comment list is here. You can double click on the comments and they'll automatically appear. And I'm going to click Close. But look what happened. Hopefully you can see this. This is 80%, which looks like the grade that I have just entered for the student. But see this over here, the one? That column that will populate down this left-hand side is actually the final grade. So in this case, while it looks like I gave the student an 80% in the percent column, the actual grade that's going to go on the report card is a 1. Now this is a common mistake, and what you need to do is just right-click, Show Score Inspector, and you need to make sure that these two numbers match. Okay, so you can just type in 80 and click Close, and now you'll see that the two columns match. So if you're running into errors when the office is printing your report card, there's a good chance that this column is not the same number as this column. So just make sure that when you do that, you go Show Score Inspector, and make sure that these two columns in the manual override are exactly the same. For the most part, that's exactly what you would want to do. Now, there is a possibility that this could look like this. There's a possibility that the student could have actually got a 79% in your class, but you chose to give them an 80. because you felt they deserved it. That's a possibility, but bear in mind that this column, this left-hand column as we go down, is the column that will appear on the report card. So if you are going to have two different numbers here, two different indicators of grade, make sure that you understand that the left-hand column is the one that will actually show on the report card. And you've been working in Q1, so you've got your comments on here. You can actually hover your mouse over and see what actual comments you did put in for the particular student. And then always click Save at the bottom. So now these grades are starting to save. Now I will show you an easy way to do something, and you may or may not want to choose this, but you can actually click on Fill Scores, and you can click on Replace All, and you can manually override and give everybody the same score and the same comment if you wanted to. And there they are. So if there was a reason that you had multiple students, and then you could always go in and change the odd student that you needed to. And so on. So there's an option to do that too if you wanted to do a really quick fill of all the scores. But for the most part, it would be Show Score Inspector. Click on Manual Override, put in the percents to make sure they're accurate, click on the comment box, double click on the comments that you would like, and click Close. Now remember, if there are comments that you use on a regular basis, instead of having to scroll up and down through this little box, remember, if you did not write an exam and maybe shows initiative and extra help available, those kind of things, if you click on those as your favorites, you click favorites here, they automatically come to the top. So those are the ones that you can, if you select those on a regular basis, star the ones you select, and then click on this box, and it will filter the ones that you use regularly at the top. That makes it a little bit easier than scrolling down through all the time. So and again, I don't have to go off of the score inspector for each student. I'm now on this student, the little down arrow here, click to the next student, put in the grade, to the next student, so on. So you can see how this will work, so you don't have to constantly click off, and then just click Close when you're done. So that's how you would put in grades if you've never used any of the assignments function in Gradebook. You're just putting in a final grade and a comment for a student. Now the next model I'm going to show you is if you have used your Gradebook for all of your quizzes and all of your assignments, and you've gotten a final grade. So you can see that this particular class, and I'm going to show it as S1, so this particular class shows all of the assignments and all of their current grades. Now you'll notice that everything is on here, quizzes, unit tests, homework, and so on and so on. They're all here. So if you have your grades, or sorry, your assignments all set up in S1, that's absolutely fine. Okay, knowing that your mark, however, that's in quarter one, will be based on assignments that are within the quarter one time period. Okay, because you may have assignments that are past the quarter one time period that are showing here because you're set up as S1, which is your whole semester. So this will be an accumulation grade from September all the way through to the end of the semester. But remember that your quarter one is only grades or assignments during that particular quarter. And you'll notice, look at this top student, Rennie Atwood. You'll notice that in quarter one, this student has a 99%, and that's what's going to show on the report card. But if I switch to S1, watch what happens to the grade. It drops to a 92. Now, the reason that drops to a 92 is because if I scroll to the very end, you'll see in this column, I've actually entered a final exam mark. I did that on purpose today to show you that the final exam in January, I've given this student a 75. So that dropped the grade from a 99 to a 92. That just shows you that all of these assignments are within quarter one, and they will be included in the quarter one grade. But as we continue to accumulate grades, of course, things change. So your S1 grade is your semester one grade as you move towards the end of semester, but this is your actual quarter grade for that particular student. And again, no matter whether you're working in S1, F1 for a full year course, or Q1, you must always be on Q1 to enter a comment. So I'm going to switch now to this, and I'm going to enter a comment for the students. So I'm going to go show score inspector, and that's a narrative comment. We'll take that out. And I just click on did not write exam, contributes well, whatever it happens to be, close, and just move on to the next student. And I can, oops, contributes well, shows initiative, and move to the next student, and so on. So you do all that with the down arrow right here, and you just keep moving down student to student to student to student until you're done, and then just click close. And you can tell when your comments are entered because, of course, the little blue C will start to appear here as well. And this is important too because you'll notice that these columns for Q1 match. Okay, so I've got 76 and 76 and 59 and 59, but maybe in my school it's a policy that I can't give a 59, it either has to be a 55 or a 60 or something like that. So this student actually has a 59, but I want that to show as a 60 on the report card. So again, I'll click on that. I'll right click, show score inspector, click on the score tab, and I am manually going to override the grade column, not the percent, but the grade column to 60. Click close and watch what happens. You'll see that this column, the left-hand column, which is the important one, will turn to 60, so that's what's going to show up on the report card. But for me as a teacher, I know that the actual grade was 59%. Okay, so that can be important too. So if you do alter grades and manually override grades, you can, if you choose, keep the original grade intact, but change the actual grade that goes on the report card. So I'm going to click save. It's important to save those grades. And of course, anything that I manually override will have a bold look to it. Will have a bold italicized look. Okay, so again, the important parts of this are that you work, if you're entering grades, no assignments have been entered. You're just putting in a final grade and comment. That you operate in quarter one. That you right-click on the student name for your class, click show score inspector, manually override the grade, put in a percent grade and a grade column grade, and make sure you select comments, 2 of them, up to two of them, and click close. And then you continue to do that for all of your students. For those subjects that are operating, for those teachers who are operating with full assignments entered into their gradebook, then again, you will see the final grade. If you've entered all of your assignments in S1, no problem. You can see the final grade for S1, or you can move to Q1 and see what the Q1 grade is. And then you can enter your comments in here down the side by right-clicking, show score inspector, and so on. So if I can just review one more time, from Power Teacher, make sure that you select the classes that have the PLP indicators on them and select the students within those classes and make sure that you select whether they are individualized or modified. That will actually populate on the report card because of that. There is no comment code that will actually populate modified or individualized. It must be done through Power Teacher and through the PLP indicator. So I'm going to select that and click submit. And then I'm going to go into Gradebook to my particular classes, make sure that no matter where I've entered my assignments, that my comments are entered through Q1. Are there any questions?